Can you hear me? There we go. Better. Welcome to the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee. My name is Eric Alexander, and I am just jazzed to be your worship associate this morning. We welcome people of all genders, sexualities, ages, races, ethnicities, histories, and bodies. We welcome your mind, your heart, and your spirit. We welcome all you are carrying with you today and all your heart longs to set down. We welcome people watching online and participating in person. We are streaming this service live. We'd like to pay a special welcome to guests joining us today. If you are a guest visiting us today, we invite you to fill out a welcome card located in the pew rack in front of you and drop it in the offering plate later in the service. Please join us for a social hour after the service across the hall in the Lean House Common Room. Folks can find hearing assist devices and large print hymnals and orders of service at the back of the sanctuary. And there are worship activity bags for children and those young at heart. We have a fragrance-free section located in the front right pews. If you are watching online, YouTube has closed captioning available. You can enable that function on the device you're using. Please let us know if you are having any problems with the closed captions. We have one announcement this morning. Please contact our choral director, Tristan Strelitzer, to sign up for Chancel Choir, with rehearsals starting on August 24th from 7:15 to 9 p.m. I welcome you to our worship service by inviting you to join me in a unison affirmation of our mission, printed in your order of service, and I want to hear some enthusiasm. Let's go. We gather to nurture the spirit, engage the mind, and inspire action. Love it. Thank you. I'm delighted to introduce our pulpit guest this morning. Annie Wegner LeFort has been a member of First Church since 2006. She is an integrative nutrition health coach, yoga teacher, and trained chef. Annie is a dancer, drummer, and mother. She loves hiking, gardening, traveling, and devouring books. Her hunger and curiosity for life keep her showing up imperfectly at many turns. Please welcome Annie.
Thank you, everyone, for having me here today. It's such an honor to be back. Our opening words are adapted from C. Joy Bell C. For everything in this journey of life we are on, there is a right wing and a left wing. For the wing of love, there is anger. For the wing of destiny, there is fear. For the wing of pain, there is healing. For the wing of hurt, there is forgiveness. For the wing of pride, there is humility. For the wing of giving, there is taking. For the wing of tears, there is joy. For the wing of rejection, there is acceptance. For the wing of judgment, there is grace. For the wing of honor, there is shame. For the wing of letting go, there is the wing of keeping. We can only fly with two wings, and two wings can only stay in the air if there is balance. Will you please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath. Take a moment to settle in, rest your feet on the floor, ground through your sit bones, extend tall through the crown of your head, relax your shoulders from your ears. Take some deep breaths in and out through the nose. So breathe, dear one, and connect with your breath. Riding the motion of its waves as you breathe in and breathe out. Let it slow you down, calm you down, and bring you here. See yourself sitting here right now, eyes closed, body relaxed. And see if you can imagine that there are two different colors of floating bubbles inside of you. The yellow bubbles are abundant and represent all those things about you that bring you to life, that give you energy, that make you proud. The gray bubbles are here too, swirling amidst the yellow. They represent the insecurities, the shame, the regrets, the failures. All those things about yourself that you may not like or are uncomfortable with and might be afraid to show others. Sit here with them all. The yellow and the gray bubbles inside of you, just for a bit. And then come back to your breath and present to this moment. All of you is love. All of you belongs. The yellow, the gray, and all the spaces in between. You are so special, and there is no one else just like you in this universe.
I could see the fires of hell in his eyes. That's how my friend Joel described me to my then girlfriend, now wife Ann, during our freshman year. The occasion was night games, a University of Iowa sponsored Friday night activity to encourage alcohol-free partying. There was food, games, and Joel and I decided to match up in bouncy boxing, a ridiculous competition between two people with toddler-sized gloves in a bounce house. Not gloves sized for a toddler, gloves the size of an actual human toddler. These gloves don't allow you to punch so much as shove, keeping it pretty tame. We entered our arena of combat and the bell rang. After some back and forth shoving, Joel knocked me down. I laughed and got up to resume, but my outward expression betrayed more than a bit of internal annoyance that I had been bested. It's okay, I told myself. I'll knock Joel down next time. But no, I fell a second time. Now I was enraged at my failure. I got up again and went at Joel with a newfound ferocity. Down he went. Instinctively, as he lay on the mat, I stared him down with the aforementioned fire in my eyes. I honestly didn't mean to do it, but I felt anger, power, and dominance in that brief moment. When we left the ring, again, a bounce house, a visibly rattled Joel described the incident to Ann. It occurred to me, that can't be good for a friend to say. My compulsion to have a perfect result, again, in bouncy boxing, drove me to a brief moment of monstrous behavior. It was a silly game between friends, yet I couldn't let go of the selfish need to be the best at everything I do. Flash forward nearly 15 years, we're living in Milwaukee, and I need a birthday gift for Ann. She had mentioned many times enjoying ice skating in the park as a child. Living within walking distance of the Red Arrow Park rink, I came up with an idea. Now, I am not a bad ice skater myself. I am a terrible ice skater. Like holding the rail and pulling myself around the rink terrible. Nevertheless, on her birthday, Ann opened 2 pairs of skates. One for her and one for me. An implicit promise that I would, at times, abandon my perfectionism streak and feel embarrassed as the least graceful skater on the rink in order for her to have fun. As she happily skates around and I get annoyed with the people just standing by the rail, forcing me to go around, seriously people, I need that thing. I realize that imperfection is okay. I can even embrace it and enjoy laughing off my ineptitude. It sure beats the perfection-induced hostility of the bout in the bounce house.
Hello, my name is Annie, and I'm a recovering perfectionist. It's true. My life was much different through the lens of perfectionism. It kept me stuck. It prevented me from taking risks. It felt like constant self-judgment. And it limited my ability to have fun. One of my rock bottom moments was in the early 2000s when I hosted a holiday party. I believe it was New Year's Eve, far enough after Christmas that people had started dragging their trees to the curb. I had a group of friends over to my Easttown apartment. They brought lots of evergreen needles in on their shoes, which I preferred be removed at the door. I panicked and got the vacuum cleaner out even before cocktail hour was over. One of my guests said, would you like us to leave? I fell into a puddle of embarrassment for my obsession with my space being perfectly tidy and clean for this occasion. My need for perfection in that moment set me up to not enjoy the time with dear friends and potentially develop resentment for them before the ball dropped. Since then, I've had plenty of other moments of desired perfection that I'm not proud of. As I continue to evolve from the hardwiring of my family of origin, my life has become easier, thank goodness. I've realized the blessings of a life that honors imperfection. I desire to do many things well, but now I try to focus on what simply works, what's adequate, and what's enough. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes practice. Practice makes possibilities. Practice makes better. When we strive for perfection or wait to be a better fit before moving forward, we miss opportunities. We also allow ourselves to be entranced by fantasy worlds. Remember that a perfect facade doesn't necessarily mean perfect balance and inner peace, and vice versa. Every single person is imperfect, and I believe has more to teach and offer as a result. My hope today is that you might begin to understand all there is to be gained by not waiting for perfection before showing up. To paraphrase Brené Brown's 10 key ideas from The Gifts of Imperfection, with the courage to show up imperfect, we allow ourselves to find authenticity and community, to cultivate purpose and perspective, to embrace our creativity and see our strengths, to develop trust, and to have more fun in life without worrying about being uncool. Showing up imperfect is an opportunity to grow, to become resilient, and to find more joy. It allows us to have no reservations. Rachel Macy Stafford says in a chapter on authenticity in Only Love Today, "When we see each other's scars, we love each other more. The life with nicks, scratches, and imperfections displayed in the window, that's the life I want to walk into, the life I want to live, the life I want to embrace when I see it in others. Being real with a person increases the chance that they will be real with us. What a gift it is to meet each other in the light of realness that comes with imperfection." As we explore what I'd like to call the art of imperfection, I want to be clear that I'm not suggesting we go through life offering half effort. I believe in hard work and high achievement. I encourage my kid to go above and beyond and challenge herself. I also think it's important for us to know what's good enough in the moment, whether we're muddling through a first attempt at something new, getting through a day of work during a week full of curveballs, or going through the motions for a time in relationship when things are weighing on us. We shouldn't let ourselves off the hook in continuing towards self-improvement, but I do believe we should give grace when we can't show up fully or just right. There's a place for mastery and precision. Ask any airline pilot or aerospace engineer. And there's a place to let ourselves relax into what is satisfactory, even if it's not perfect. When we establish that foundation of adequacy, we give ourselves permission to get started. And start somewhere but start is a phrase I often say to my yoga students, health coaching clients, and others who want to make a change but feel stuck with where and how to begin. It's a misconception to think that until we are the right size and shape, more flexible, have the right outfit or attention span, that we can't participate in certain activities. There's a myth that if we're not in the right state of wholeness, expertise, or financial security, we shouldn't bother moving into romantic or business relationships. It's an untruth that we need to have all of our childhood wounds sorted out before we can show up fully to hold space for or guide others. These ideas couldn't be more unrealistic. Some of them are the equivalent of needing to have experience in order to get experience, the conundrum in finding your first job in a certain field. They create a paradox, limiting us from growth until we have already grown. We don't have to show up all ready to perform, to parent, to partner, or to practice. We need only to risk that first step, to courageously start somewhere in order to begin expanding, or to at least enjoy this very moment of life. To understand what it means to be imperfect, it helps to know the standard definition of perfect. The Oxford Dictionary says, noun, having all the required or desirable elements, qualities, or characteristics, as good as it is possible to be, absolute, complete. Verb, to make completely free from faults or defects, or as close to such a condition as possible. The same book gives us just one definition of imperfect, not perfect. Merriam-Webster concurs, flawed in form, structure, or function, defective, deficient. Really? Are we really incomplete, unwhole, or faulty? I don't believe that any longer. With these definitions, who here can raise their hand to say that they are perfect? At this juncture, it might be scarier to admit your perceived perfection than imperfection. According to Brené Brown, perfectionism can be self-destructive and addictive. It can create shame, judgment, and blame. Creative endeavors can be blocked when we have a certain idea of the result, and it's really hard to let go of an idea. It's hard to let go of that vision for perfection. With proximity to my last two summer sermons, the first one about attachment, last summer I felt very attached to an idea I had to create a message about the importance of play. As we moved into planning, and I learned more about logistics, people's availabilities, and even what I'd assumed about the pieces our drum troupe would play, I had to let go of that rigidity. It took courage to offer my vision to those who helped bring the service together, and I had to detach from some of those ideas in my perfect vision. I'm grateful that I did. It allowed me to show up more authentically in that moment, and frankly, it took the pressure off to make it just right. It also allowed those who can lead better than me to shine. I like what Carolyn Lowe says in a blog post from Thrive Global entitled, 5 Ways to Give Yourself Permission to Be Perfectly Imperfect. Number 1, let yourself off the hook to have everything figured out now. 2, let go of the need to compare. 3, let go of worrying what others may or may not think. 4, visualize what you want. And 5, keep taking action. These ideas give me insight into the bravery that's required to thrive in our spirits. Be brave enough to suck at something new. This meme popped up on social media as I was revisiting capoeira, an Afro-Brazilian martial art I'd originally sampled in 2017. When I returned to this dance fight to actually focus on training in 2019, I felt clumsy, rigid, confused, and timid. As the oldest student in the class, including my teacher, I often felt discouraged and hopeless. I questioned why I was there, trying to belong with these 20 and 30-somethings. And then I'd attend an event, immerse myself in the music, movement, and culture, and feel all the energy. I loved it. I've never felt good at it, though when I was actively training, I saw steady improvement. Best of all, this family, which extends across the country and beyond its borders, became a safe place for me to feel the belonging that I'd questioned. Showing up imperfect held me open to create community. The bonds I formed through capoeira have built deep, lasting, supportive friendships that I would have never known had I felt the need to arrive perfect. Similarly, in high school, I was on the tennis team at the bottom of the rankings for the duration of my 4 years. My sophomore year, I actually got bumped into the player pool, relegated to an occasional doubles match when the opposing team had an excess of very green players. I like to say it's because there was so much spectacular talent on the team, not because I had so much skill to be desired. As I kept showing up imperfectly for this team sport, I eventually found my purpose. I would be the moral support, the cheerleader for this team. Bus rides to matches found me bringing levity to the otherwise nervous top-ranking players and helping them ramp up to crush the opponent. I just returned from another experience of this sort, acro yoga camp, where high-flying circus meets cheer meets fire twirlers. In my 3 years of attendance, I've often felt overwhelmed and at arm's length from the elite acrobats who are there. I don't even meet the prerequisites to attend the workshops that they do, and I don't have the same time and flexibility in my life to train to improve my skills. Not to mention my fear of unsteady heights is still developing. But I can host one heck of a talent show, as I did once again this year. It felt amazing when many of those master flyers, bases, and pyros approached and contacted me afterwards with compliments and refrains of, "I could never have done that." We all have places where we can feel skilled. I may have only inched my acro practice forward in those 3 days, but I built great connections, pushed myself to my co-hosting edge, and learned how I can share my gifts. Showing up imperfect in both of these cases allowed me to see beyond my physical abilities and recognize what I could offer emotionally and mentally. My greater purpose was revealed through my perceived imperfection. Brené Brown also says, when we give ourselves permission to fall apart and be imperfect, we give others an opportunity to share their strength and incredible wisdom. As I consider the revelation of the aforementioned purpose, I reflect on another story of imperfection. Over the last several months, my sister was going through her second divorce, which she initiated suddenly after a series of blindsiding events. She'd been distant from our family for at least a decade during this relationship that frequently puzzled us. Through the legal process, she was feeling exhausted and financially drained, and decided, along with her then still spouse, that a pause was needed. During that time, her heart was feeling torn, and she wondered if she was making the right decision. She knew she wanted to be convicted about her choice to leave. She didn't want to question years later if she'd acted in haste. My sister and I had ups and downs in the last decade that left me grieving for the bond we once had. I missed our connection. I longed for a sisterly tie. As she moved through this process in her heart and mind, she reached out because she knew I'd had a similar experience. She was terrified to share what many of her friends and our parents would likely view as a terrible consideration. For them, it was black and white. For her, there was still so much gray area. I was honored that she reached out to me, allowing herself to show up vulnerable, scared, and very imperfect. Not easy for a strong woman who has not yet entered the recovering perfectionist stage. As the older sister, she often assumed the role of, "I know it all, I got this, I don't need anyone's help." She extended her heart to me, raw and broken. I carefully held it and let her know I wasn't there to judge. I would hold her struggle in confidence, hear her, and offer guidance if she desired. That opportunity was a huge turning point in rebuilding a relationship with my only sister, someone I've chided in the past, even in last year's sermon, for her rigidity, facade, and overly serious take on life. Through her imperfection, I was able to find my strength as a sister and friend and begin to reframe our bond. I can confidently say that we've connected on the deepest level ever since. Not feeling like we have all the answers can be tough, especially if you are one who lives to serve and help others. As a newly branded health coach, I've struggled with this feeling. I remember in my year-long training how we were often encouraged to be okay with not having all the answers. No one wants a perfect health coach. That's too intimidating. It's too much pressure. As a coach, I've learned that I don't need to know everything about all aspects of holistic health. It's not required that I be an expert in each and every one of the 100 dietary theories that came across my radar during training. It's not necessary for me to have a lock on every piece of the holistic circle of life around which I coach. I don't have to show up with every last ounce of knowledge in order to guide others. In fact, my presence, listening ears, general knowledge of food and nutrition, and dedication to my movement practice are currently more than enough to empower and motivate others, to help them find inner strength and become seekers of knowledge of their own bio-individual health. One of my private clients brought some intense digestive challenges to the table, and I greatly wanted to help her solve them. As we got into our sessions, we realized there was so much to unpack that was potentially underlying her discomfort. I was simultaneously researching her symptoms, tuning into her reports from specialists, and trying to coach around other aspects of her life on which she wanted to focus. I came up empty-handed with her condition. It was painful to not have the answers. We tried with little success. She moved forward with her distress. But towards the end of her program, she hit on something through her own research that finally resonated and, in fact, got exactly to the root of her issue. I remember facing her at our second to last session in all of my imposter syndrome, practically apologizing for not having been the one to find the answer. She looked at me and said she couldn't be more pleased to have uncovered the information on her own. I had done exactly what I was supposed to do as a coach: listen, ask high-mileage questions, support and advocate for my clients, and most importantly, empower them to take control of their own health. She left my program feeling confident that she could sustain the improvements she'd made and found gratitude for the space I held for her discovery. Had I gripped tightly to being a perfect coach, I would have essentially denied her the opportunity to grow. My imperfection allowed someone else to uncover their own strength. I've also noticed that allowing ourselves to show up imperfect can actually be more fun. Who knew? At Latin dance classes, at which I've found my purpose to be creating a welcoming space and celebrating my abilities to flow, it seems that those who can get out of their heads and into their bodies have the most fun. With ideas of perfection comes self-consciousness, which can make us freeze. It suspends our spirit. My teacher often says, "Your spirit didn't travel this far for you to hide in the back row." This same teacher, along with her husband, encouraged me in the community spirit choir that gathered and performed during the height of the pandemic. I had an opportunity to perform a cappella with a group of professional and semi-professional female singers. When it was my turn to solo, my voice completely cracked. I started over, and it cracked again. I tried a third time, choosing a different octave, and finally grabbed the notes. I survived, and I moved on. After the performance, several people approached to thank me for my voice and my vulnerability. They encouraged me to keep going, and I have. I'm becoming more confident with my range, harmonies, and stage presence while singing, and the fun I've had in subsequent opportunities was completely worth those moments of horror I felt when I cracked. Showing up imperfect allowed me to honor the light within, which longed to move freely, explore, and expand. It allowed me to literally have a greater voice and more joy. Hopefully you'll see and appreciate in our dance piece today that we sure are having fun and finding great joy through imperfection. Part of this choreography involves improv, a skill at which our closely attuned company excels. Improv allows us to explore our bodies, be vulnerable with our choices, and find a safe place for expression. It's often unforeseen and unexpected. Curiously, perfection is often highly calculated and planned. So we will present to you in a moment a dance that is set at times and also highly unplanned at other times, and we hope you enjoy it. I showed up today with much less sleep than I wanted. I probably didn't drink all the water I could have in the last 24 hours. My clothes are not ironed, and my hair is wild, and my heart has felt out of sorts in the last month. Oh, did I eat a wholesome breakfast? Raise your hand if you too feel any of this. Thank you for showing up anyway. Thank you for bringing your beautiful selves into our presence to start somewhere and begin again on this Sunday. Whether you seek improvement or just need a place to land in all of your various parts and pieces, I thank you for showing up imperfect today. I encourage you to take something that I've created with my coach, a victory lap. I'm not necessarily a fan of participation trophy culture, but I most certainly encourage celebration for small victories. Whether you take a victory lap in your mind, around your coffee table, around the block, or around the track, celebrate when you can show up for yourself in whatever form. Celebrate the smallest steps toward your goals. Celebrate what feels like the tiniest headway into expansion and growth. Celebrate that you are here breathing. It doesn't have to be a deep, equal yogic breath, just one and then another. Let's do that together now. Let's breathe in and let it go. Shake it out. I'd like to quote one of my amazing Capoeira brothers, Sai Hao the doctor, who loves to share that he went from EBT to PhD. When he moved to Miami, he dared to step imperfectly into the professional music world, even though he was there to teach at university. In a recent interview with Canvas Rebel magazine, he said, "I know some people doubt themselves. Others are worried about what others think. And some feel that it is too late to start some goal or dream. Whatever the reason might be, I want people to really think about this. We are alive, and our time on this floating rock in the middle of an ever-expanding universe is limited. So please try to do things that make you happy." End quote. Let's drop the ideas of perfection that limit us from doing so. The more we let go of the need to be perfect, the more we'll be at ease in our lives. As you leave here today, I hope you will remember all of the beauty and inspiration in the imperfections you witnessed, heard, and felt. I hope you will find the courage to get out of your own way, to come as you are, and to start somewhere and show up imperfect.
Every week, we have an opportunity to practice our values through sharing our resources. Our pledges are at the core of our spiritual practice of generosity. In addition, the church shares half of all the non-pledge cash in our offering plate with a community organization. In this way, we commit our resources in line with our belief that this congregation is interdependent with the world beyond these walls. This summer, our Share the Plate partner is the Wisconsin Unitarian Universalist State Action Network. WUUSAN brings together the collective energy and power of Wisconsin UU congregations and fellowships to build a statewide advocacy network. In partnership with many allies, we uphold the worth and dignity of every person while acting to further justice, equity, and compassion. May the practice of giving bring us joy. The offering will now be greatly received.
Our closing words are from Life Without a Center by Jeff Foster. This imperfect dance, we never rehearsed this. We are a mess. We tremble and perspire. We step on each other's toes. Sometimes we go out of tune and forget our lines. But at least this is real. At least we are not half alive, buried under the weight of some image we never believed in anyway. I will always take this imperfect dance over no dance at all. I invite you to bring your hands to heart center over your heart. Take a breath. The imperfect light, love, and peace in me recognizes and honors the light, love, and peace in each of you. Namaste. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, number 118, This Little Light of Mine.